Well, good morning. Good morning. My name is Willie Watson, and this is the morning report for Friday, the 16th of December, 2022, in the year of our Lord. It's almost Christmas time, and that's what it looks like outside where I live. It's a pretty good day. It's a pretty good day. All right, we'll be back with more of the morning report right after these messages. Well, hey everybody, my name is Willie Lawson, and you guys know that I do a lot of stuff on the internet. And you may think with what's happening on Twitter and what's happening on Facebook and what happened to Parler that the mainstream social media sources are really trying to rid themselves of conservative voices. And you'd be right. They most certainly are. Um, but you know what? It isn't as bad as you think it is. It's worse. But there are people who are willing to be platformed for free speech. One of those places is freedomforum.website. Freedomforum.website. You can go there and speak your mind. So come join us. Enjoy the freedom. Enjoy the fun. If you are a true blue conservative, small businesses are near and dear to your heart. They are the lifeblood of our life and economy. I believe this, and that's why my florist is not a website or phone number. My florist is Bloomingdale's Flower Shop, Tampa's premier flower shop. At 11618 North Florida Avenue here in Tampa, Florida, and at 6835 State Road 54 in Newport Richey. Call Christine at 813-933-1942 and at 727-232-6900. She can also be reached on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. One of the things that I get asked most is where can I get information that is not tainted with liberal bias, especially here in the Tampa Bay area. Well, now I have the answer. tbctampa.com, a website by and for Tampa area conservatives. Tampa's leading conservative voices speak freely at tbctampa.com. And you can too. So join the fun and enjoy the freedom at tbctampa.com. My name is Willie Lawson, and this is the Morning Report. All right, welcome. My name is Willie Lawson. This is the Morning Report. The Morning Report for Friday, December 16th. You know, there's a lot of talk going on about Twitter. And there are a lot of people who are just freaking the heck out about Elon Musk. But what they're not hearing is something that Jack Dorsey, you remember Jack, we've all tweeted something at Jack that was duly ignored. And if you're special, you tweeted something at Jack and you got your account banned. Nice job. Anyway, former Twitter co-founder and CEO Jack Dorsey admits that he led the company down the wrong path, and still has significant problems. In a blog post, Dorsey criticized Twitter for not upholding to a certain standard when it comes to censoring content. Since the release of current Twitter CEO Elon Musk's Twitter files, the social media platform has come under fire for suppressing information in order to fit the left's agenda. Dorsey outlined 3 principles he believed that Twitter needs to adhere to without ever mentioning Elon Musk. Now, check this out and see if this is something that people on the left will be good with. Number 1, social media must be resilient to corporate and government control. Okay. So you think that government should have a hand in social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever? Do you? Well, Jack Dorsey doesn't think so. Number 2, only the original author may remove content they produce. Imagine. So somebody like, I don't know, from the Knights of the White Camellia, that's a KKK group, back in the 1850s, 1860s. Imagine. Or Antifa, or the Tea Party, or Trump, anybody puts up material. Jack Dorsey believes that only the original author may remove content they produce. And moderation is best implemented by algorithmic choice. So if you're going to moderate, then the algorithm will find out what's popular, what isn't popular, and it'll push the stuff that's popular, and it'll not push the stuff that's not popular. So if we are not in a, I don't know, full-blown white supremacist world, then KKK posts just won't get much traction. And most of us won't see them. You don't have to ban them. No one's seen it because of the algorithm. The Twitter, when I led it, the Twitter of today do not meet any of these principles. Dorsey admitted. He took full responsibility for the problems that the company faces today. It's my fault alone. I completely gave up pushing for them when an activist entered our stock in 2020. I no longer had hope for achieving any of it as a public company with no defense mechanisms. I planned my exit at that moment, knowing that I was no longer right for the company, Dorsey wrote. Dorsey served as the company CEO from 2006 to 2008, and again in 2015 and 2021. He said that his biggest mistake, which burdens the company with too much power, was continuing to invest in building tools for us to manage the public conversation versus building tools for the people using Twitter to easily manage it for themselves. Now, I will give Zuckerberg and the Facebook people an attaboy. Between the ability to, of course, unfollow people, block people, snooze people, I will hit that snooze button on your ass and in a heartbeat. Snooze for 30 days. And when it tells me, oh, someone's going to come off snooze again, back to sleep with you, right? That's the tools that Twitter should have been building to let me design my Twitter. Now, I have fixed, people complain about Facebook, but I'll tell you what, I have fixed my Facebook page to where I've made my Facebook page great again. It's only the stuff I want to see. I just don't. Some of the stuff y'all say, I never see it, but I will snooze there in a heartbeat. I will unfollow in a New York second. But it's allowed me to sort of make my Facebook page the thing, especially if I'm watching other posts, the things that I want to see. The ads that I want to see, I report them immediately. I block them immediately because I want to make it a place where it can be my, if not my happy place, it's not my pissed off place. How about that? Um, and they should have been doing that with Twitter. Dorsey claimed that those open doors allowing Twitter to receive outside pressure. Touching on the former president's ban, Dorsey acknowledged that Twitter was beginning to have excessive power, and the company did the right thing for public company business at the time, but the wrong thing for the internet and society. You banned a sitting president from your platform. Yeah, you were trying to save the company, but the society you totally screwed. He said that large corporations have too much power and that it is critical to have tools to resist this, warning that governments and corporations will soon own public conversation. Yeah, they already do. Of course, governments want to shape and control the public conversation and will use every method at their disposal to do so, he says, including the media, Dorsey said, adding, allowing a government or a few corporations to own public conversation is a path, and I'll edit this, is the path to centralized control. When we talk about when we ask the question, how many, who owns major media? Who does? Who owns the major media companies? There are only a few. There just aren't that many. The majority of American media outlets are owned by 6 different companies and 15 billionaires. A very small number of people own major media. The largest media conglomerates in the United States are AT&T, Comcast, Walt Disney, National Amusements, which owns CBS, Viacom, and Fox Corporation, Sony, and Hearst Communications. CNN doesn't own CNN. AT&T owns CNN. The same people who have your phone company. Who owns Fox News? Fox Corporation is partially controlled by the Murdoch family, but they only have a 39% share. Okay. Warner Media LLC also owns HBO, Otter Media, Warner Brothers, and the Turner Broadcasting System. It's the parent corporation of CNN. So at that point, the parent corporation, at that point, AT&T, the parent corporation, owns Warner Media. The Fox Corporation, of course, is partially controlled by the Murdoch family. It's also crucial to note that the Rupert Murdoch, who also owns 39% of News Corp, which also owns Fox News, also owns the New York Post, Harper's Collins, and the Wall Street Journal. Who owns NBC? Comcast. Comcast company that owns NBC, MSNBC, NBC Universal, a conglomerate corporation that also owns Fandango, Hulu, Universal Pictures, and Telemundo, is a parent company of NBC. Who owns ABC? ABC is a division of Walt Disney, a division of Disney Media Networks, and a division of the Walt Disney Company. ABC is a division of Walt Disney Television. Disney owns almost too many businesses to list here. Disney owns ESPN and all the ESPN companies. How about CBS? National Amusements. That's funny. It's the second owner of CBS, which is owned by, again, CBS Corporation. National Amusements. That's just a fantastic name for the company, which owns Viacom, major media conglomerate that all that runs Paramount Pictures, Comedy Central, MTV, Nickelodeon, BET, CMT, VH1, and has an 80% voting majority. About newspapers. These are significant publicly traded newspaper firms with the biggest income and number of papers daily, according to the advocacy group Free Press. Number one, the Gannett Company, Tribune Media Company, Digital First Media Company was owned by Alden Global Capital, New Media Investment Group, the McClatchy Company, Advanced Publications, Berkshire Hathaway, Lee Enterprises, and Community Newspaper Holdings, and the Black Press Group. That's it. That's it. That's it. So when Dorsey says that, you know, this whole idea that these few companies are going to own the public conversation, we should pay attention. You know, our girl said this: once somebody tells you who they are, believe them. We'll be back right after these messages. So is it okay now, because it was, I mean, during the Trump administration, it is okay to talk about the president's
yeah, we talked about mental health elderly, so let's talk about this guy mental health.
You know, the president's mental acuity, because there's sometimes where it seems to be lacking. Have you seen?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it's especially bad. I mean, I'm talking about sometimes it's like really bad. Like, have you seen the picture?
I was told not to take any questions.
I was told not to take any questions. They told they're going to be mad at me.
They're going to be mad at me.
Mr.
President, are you the president, or were you five?
You see, what I want. See, the next question is, excuse me,
I was told to call on what you call for NBC. Who's telling you to call on?
That's the question that we ought to be asking. Who's telling you this?
I mean, I don't understand why nobody won't ask that question.
Is Jen Psaki actually the president?
Who's telling you to call on these people in the media?
Is Jen Psaki actually the president?
Probably so.
Alrighty, again, welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. The headline is long time coming, but it's the weirdest thing ever. Finally, Iran gets ejected from the United Nations panel on the status of women. You know me, because my question is, how'd they get there in the first place? How does Iran get put on the United Nations panel for the statement of women, for the status of women? Iran. But apparently they have been asked to leave. This development reminds me of when the Russians finally got tossed from the United Nations so-called human rights body months ago, and how China is on the United Nations human rights body. How is that possible? Months into Vladimir Putin's heinous war crimes riddled invasion of Ukraine, I've been asking why the Biden administration wasn't pushing for that outcome weeks earlier, but they eventually got around to it, and the UN's General Assembly voted days later to suspend Russia from that position, 93-24, with dozens of abstentions. Nobody wants to piss them off. That episode brought me a little satisfaction, because it was ultimately empty symbolism from a farcical organization like the UN. Who gives a rat's ass, really? More than 80 member nations voted no or abstained on the question of suspending Russia from Human Rights Council. All right. The fact that Russia was part of that organization in the first place tells you everything you need to know about its worth. In addition to the presence of other cartoonishly undeserving countries sitting on the same panel, Indeed, China is still a powerful member, recently spearheading an effort to successfully torpedo a vote on whether to debate its own active genocide against an ethnic religious minority group. The council is an insulting joke, and the Trump administration was fully justified in removing the United States from participating in it, as it deserves no legitimizing American president. Team Biden, of course, rejoined it immediately, of course, dumbasses. Another United Nations embarrassment is the Women's Rights Commission, which has finally seen fit to expel one of its member states. Yes, Iran has been on the Global Women's Rights Commission, even as the regime has brutally suppressed women's rights and demonstrations in the street, murdering protesters and executing dissenters. The unrest and bloodshed has been playing out for months now, but the UN has finally got around to it. Halil Noor tweets this: victory! By a vote of 29-8, with 16 abstentions, the Islamic Republic of Iran was just expelled from the United Nations Women's Rights Commission. First time in the United Nations history that any member state was removed from this body. Bravo to all that helped make this possible. Seriously. Iran was ousted from the UN women's group on Wednesday for policies contrary to the rights of women and girls, a move proposed by the United States after Tehran's crackdown on protesters over the death of a young woman in custody. The 54-member U.S. Economic and Social Council adopted a U.S. drafted resolution to remove, with immediate effect, the Islamic Republic of Iran from the Commission of on the Status of Women for the remainder of its 2022-2026 term. 29 countries voted yes on Iran's removal, but 24 voted no or abstained. For reference, among the no votes were, of course, China, where baby girls have been slaughtered for years for the crime of being girls. And of course, under the regime's long-time barbaric one-child policy. And of course, Russia, which remains on the committee that governed this vote, despite having gotten the Human Rights Acts. Authoritarians look out for and protect one another. Though China and Russia were unable to spare Iran this minor humiliation and rebuke, both are permanent members of the Security Council, so either or both of them could block meaningful UN action against Iran in other respects. So they still have Iran's back. This doesn't mean booty. This doesn't mean booty. If Iran's on this committee, on this commission, if Iran's on the commission for women's rights, it obviously doesn't mean anything. It obviously doesn't mean anything. After months of protests in Iran that have only escalated as the government's crackdown has turned deadlier, officials have begun publicly executing protesters, including a 23-year-old man who was hanged on Monday from a construction crane, bringing the new wave of outrage from Iranian public calling for the end of the country's theocratic regime. The hangings, the first was on Thursday at a prison near Tehran, the second on Monday in the northeastern city of Mashhad, have brought intense condemnation from the public and human rights groups, and even criticism from some senior figures within Iran's clerical establishment who questions the religious validity of the death sentences. Since the protesters began in September, Iran's security forces have killed hundreds of Iranians in a harsh response characterized by mass arrests and beatings, military assaults, and killings of dozens of teenagers and children. Human rights groups say at least 450 protesters have died, and the United Nations says 14,000 people have been arrested. Now, the public executions are widely being taken as a last-ditch effort by the government to suppress an uprising that has become most profound and widespread since the 1979 revolution that brought the clerics to power. if they keep this up, the regime in Tehran might just win itself a spot on the Human Rights Council. I'll leave. You know, they keep this up, they might just end up on the Human Rights Council. We need to tell the UN to get out. We need to tell the UN it's time for them to go. We need to just say, listen, we're selling the building. So you guys have like 30 days to get your stuff and get out. Yeah, The Hague, somewhere in Europe. That's where it needs to be, all of it. And Americans don't need to follow it. We need to divest ourselves of this horrific organization. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thank you ever so much for spending some time with us. We appreciate it. Again, my name is Willie Lawson. This has been the Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye now.